So here's a thought that I had about things sitting around social media that I kind of wrote down the other day. And it says that too many people create generalized talking points off shallow understandings of surface level issues and use low hanging fruit to prove points because it's available. An example would be a person that uses black people are violent narrative, despite most black people not being violent, but the internet gives them constant access of black people being violent, which they then post and say, see, here's proof. What do I mean by, and that's different than, okay, like there are sometimes when you say things on internet and people are trying to talk to you as if what you're saying holds no value at all. So then you have to show them proof and say, yes, this does exist. I'm showing you this for the sole purpose of letting you know that I'm not making it up. That is completely different than everybody knows something exists in a certain sector of society, and you keep pulling from that sector of society to try to make your talking point or narrative appear to be the norm when it's not. What I mean by shallow understandings, people will understand things to a small degree, and it's called, in well, I call it collective learning. What this is when people, if you get in a group of people, like for instance, I don't have to be a doctor. If I hang around enough people that are doctors and I listen to them talk about their patients or certain things that they picked up from school, I can absorb enough information to pass the smell test with the average person that has no clue what any of that means. And I can give you some things that are very credible. It's just like, okay, speaking of medical, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a health professional, but there are things that I have learned and seen through the media and on, social media. When you follow doctors and you say, okay, that's a good point. He said this, he said that. I can take that and package all this information that I got from all of these doctors and make it sound good for the internet. I can make it sound believable. My talking points will resonate with people because what I'm saying is partially true or does hold some kind of value, but it's not the whole of it. And I don't have enough in depth knowledge to really be able to talk about this and break it down and have an open dialogue or discussion about it, like meaningfully. This is why you'll see a lot of people that won't engage in debates or when they're online and they repeatedly only regurgitating the same talking points, the same cycles, the same talking points. And there's enough low hanging fruit out there for them to continue to talk about it and always have an angle and always be right. And I think that it doesn't do us any favors. You look at people that want to sound philosophical. You read enough books and you hang around other people that have good talking points, everybody's eating off of everybody. That's why you don't see a lot of original ideas and ideology in social media on a whole scale, is because a lot of people are just taking the talking points it's like a comedian watching other comedians and seeing what works for those people and then pulling it and using it for themselves. And then they create this act that everybody think is funny. You find a market that hasn't been exposed to all of these comedians. Even if they've been exposed to one of them, they might not have been exposed to all of them. But you've been exposed to all of them, So you find the market, you find the people that don't have the exposure or haven't put themselves in those environments to understand, oh, okay, you got this from that person, that person, that person. So your brain isn't really your brain, it's a collective, it's a hive mind. You've acquired it from all of these different people, all of these different talking points. It's like when you see a video on social media and it's funny and it gets a lot of shares and views, and somebody say, hey, you stole that from me. Hey, this isn't the original. I saw the original. This is the original. And somebody else sees it and says, no, that's not the original. This is the original. And somebody else sees it and say, no, 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 they copied it from this person. People are doing that with dialogue. They're taking it from here, getting the talking points from there, switching the language up, and then running it to the internet, trying to make it seem like there's something that they're not. But a lot of times when you have in-depth discussions with these people and when you really understand certain things, because a lot of the things that they're talking about revolves around psychology. Now you have all these people with these talking points that actually revolves around psychology and human behavior. You ask how many of them have studied human behavior? How many have studied psychology? That number goes down. You say, well, how many? I'm not even asking you, are you a therapist or clinical, right? I study psychology, but I'm not a therapist. Why am I not a therapist? Because I did not want to do clinical psychology. I just wanted to be able to understand not only myself, but as a coach and as a person, when I was in leadership at my job, I wanted to understand people. I wanted to understand the human mind. So I've been studying psychology for about 12 or 13 years now. At one point in time, I was in school for it, but I didn't get a chance to finish school. But I kept learning and I kept evolving and I kept learning and I kept evolving. And I'm constantly thinking for myself and really trying to look at things objectively and not just taking something and running with it. But a lot of these people, when you ask, okay, well, what are your studies? Where have you studied? What they can't show you anything. I'm not saying that they have to have a degree. What I'm saying is that people are taking information that's easy to regurgitate and spitting it out over here. And it makes them sound cool. It makes them sound intelligent. It's like watching a whole, it's like a person that watches a whole interview and they take the sound bites out. They say, yeah, okay, we're going to use this sound bite. We're going to use that sound bite. A lot of people don't even have the intellectual wherewithal or ability to sit down and watch a 2 or 3 hour documentary or discussion or whatever else. The attention span of the average person just isn't that long. But you see these people jump online over and over again. Start getting your favorite people. Start getting a lot. Any person that regurgitates a certain angle or a narrative over and over and over and over and over again, that means that's all they have. That's it. That's the one trick they have. It's like playing basketball. This guy, he got this one dribble move that he's perfected, but that's it. He don't got no bag for real. If he can get you with that move, he got you. But if he can't, then it's done. That's how a lot of these people are. They don't really have a bag for conversation. They're learning and picking up from other people. They're studying other people, and they're all studying each other. And collectively, they're pushing the same narrative. But they're also not getting to any solutions. Why are they not getting to solutions? Because they don't really understand human behavior, human nature. They don't really understand psychology. They don't really understand how things work. They understand how they want it to work and how it works in perception, but not in application. Which is why I tell people a lot of times that a lot of things aren't as simple as you're trying to make it. Whether we're having talks about accountability, whether we're having talks about a lot of stuff. Let's take let's take accountability and talk about men. You got a lot of people out there that say, "Oh, well, it's a lot of men out there that don't want to be accountable for their actions." That might be true, but then go deeper. If you actually sit down with some men and have discussions and listen to them, what you will find is that it's not necessarily that a lot of men don't want to be accountable for their actions. A lot of men do not want to be held solely responsible for the outcome of a situation. That is different. That'll be like if me and my partner commit a crime and we both get arrested, and then the police tell me, well, you're the oldest, so you're going to take all the charges. Or, hey, you're a man, she's a woman, you're going to take all the charges. She gets to walk. It's like, wait a minute, I can take accountability for my role and I'll accept my punishment, but don't leave me out to dry. No, whatever I did, I did. It's like a game. I missed the game winning shot. I can take accountability for the game winning shot, or I had a penalty at the wrong time. Yes, that penalty you can more directly tie to us losing the game or that game winning shot because it might have been the most critical shot. But if you go back and watch the film, there were a lot of failures by different people along the way during the process. So don't single me out and say we lost the game because of you. I can take accountability for my shortcoming, but don't say that this is all on you. This is all your fault. That's what a lot of men don't like. When y'all are correcting them, you're basically putting everything on them. Hey, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. No excuses. What does that do? That's damaging. That's counterproductive. But you don't understand human behavior. You don't understand psychology. You don't understand cognitive behavior. You don't understand rational behavior. You don't understand emotional intelligence. You don't understand emotional regulation. You don't understand any of this stuff, but you're just out there talking because you want to have a talking point. And I say, okay, well, what's your answer? Well, we got to hold men accountable. But we got to hold women accountable. Okay, what is that? How do we fix it? What's the frameworks? Give me a plan. A lot of people don't have a plan. And then because they don't have a plan, they'll start explaining to you why they don't have a plan. Well, I got a plan, but it ain't going to work because don't nobody want to hear what I got to say. Well, people want to hear what you got to say. They ask for your plan. Well, see, my plan ain't going to work because A lot of men or women ain't ready for the responsibility to be able to handle what I'm gonna tell them. No, tell them. Those who can handle it will handle it. Well, I don't engage in arguments or whatever else. No, no, no. Arguments, if it's constructive, it's critical. That's how society learns. That's how we grow. Challenge each other's beliefs, sit, talk without becoming aggressive. But that's what you do. When I have conversations, I tell people all the time, when you have a conversation with somebody or a debate, the objective really isn't to try to win the conversation. It's just to plant seeds. Those seeds will grow on their own in that time if they're meant to grow. I've had people that I had discussions with that wouldn't come back until 2 and 3 years later and say, hey man, you was right. And that's been me at times when people have told me things and I couldn't hear it at the time. But then you go through life, certain things happen. Sometimes you grow, you develop, you go back and say, hey, you was right. I can see it. Because when it clicks, it clicks. But you got to put something in there to grow first. Seed can't grow if you don't plant it. So we're planting thought seeds all over the place. And it's gonna go through its own germination process. But you got to be willing to do that. You got to be willing to have the conversations. You got to be willing to say, okay, they might not get it now, or even me. Plenty of times, my wife, plenty of times she says stuff and I shrug it off like, ah, man, she don't know what she's talking about. Then later on, I'm like, nah, she knows what she's talking about. It got time to sink in. Or, like I said, you live a little bit, you come back, it's like, she was right. Okay, I got to go back, tell her she was right. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. But people are more concerned with having talking points. They're more concerned with having one-liners. They're more concerned with looking right. They're more concerned with being above correction. I'm not above correction. You know, they're more concerned with having an audience. Everybody want to have subscribers now. Everybody wants to have, I need to get paid for this. I need to get paid for that. My personal Facebook page has been demonetized for a while. I ain't even try to get it back. Yeah, when I'm on post, you don't see me jump down and say, hey, here's my subscriber link, subscribe to my page. Because the information that I want, I put it out there, because I think it's important to be out there. I do have my own website for my coaching and my teaching. I do. I have a website for that. But I started learning the things that I learned and spent the years I spent developing and crafting my own thought process and my own plans and formulating things and looking at the interconnectivity of it all because I had a genuine interest in helping men and women be better and be them better selves. And it is a collaborative thing. And it's not just one approach, it's holistic. Like your body, mental, physical, spiritual. So if you want to be a complete person, you got to be complete all the way around. It's like exercise. If you exercising but you don't diet, if you diet but you're not exercising, then you're not really doing it the way it's supposed to be done. So you might not get the results that you want. Things are holistic. That's why in the medical profession, if you do your research, your mentality can have a effect on your physical body. Your physical body has an effect on your mind. If you believe in spirituality, your spiritual life can have an effect on your mental life, which has an effect on your physical life and can manifest itself in form of disease. This is proven. So you look at it from all aspects. So if we don't want to look at situations in all aspects and have real conversations and focus on real solutions and not just pointing at people and saying, you don't want to be accountable, you don't want to do this, sit down, my brother, sit down, my sister, talk to me. Let me talk to you one-on-one about your situation because your situation doesn't have anything to do with his situation or her situation. It's your situation. And if I tell you some stuff and you don't want to be accountable for the role you play, don't be accountable. But now you know. And when you hit that point, when you hit that wall, I hope my words come back to your memories. Like a lot of people, they don't really get it till they end up in jail and they say, my dad told me, my mama told me, my friends told me. Everything that everybody told you, you hit a point because sometimes people got to hit rock bottom before they're willing to accept that accountability. Cool. That's their path. But I treat each person differently and I'm tired of all the generalizations. If I say some women or some men, yes, it's true. It does apply to some women or some men. Me knowing that will not stop me from talking to them as individuals if I come across them. Tell me your situation. Tell me your life. So let's figure this out. I can talk to you one on one because your ship is your ship. Even if the whole fleet is headed in the right direction, your ship is your ship. You are the captain of your ship. That's all I can do. But until we get honest and we're really ready to have those conversations and to be able to sit down and stop doing all this tit for tat stuff on the internet and invest in real research and real solutions and not all this surface level talking and I'm gonna show you this, I'm gonna show you that, I'm gonna show you this. That's why we're not getting anywhere. That's why these conversations go in circles, because people are more interested in having conversations and things to talk about than solving it. It's like what we say about doctors or the medical industry. Some people say they're not really interested in curing certain things because if you cure it, then you're out of work. Now, health will always be a thing, but you understand what I'm saying. We will never eradicate bad men and bad women from society, no more than we will eradicate poverty. That's just what it is. It's going to exist. But the fact is, we won't be able to get it to downscale or help it in any shape, form, and fashion if we just focus on having the conversations, because the conversations keep the people going and they keep the views going. Because we're too afraid to really solve problems. Because if we really start solving problems, my God, people won't have platforms no more because they don't have anything to talk about. I can talk about a lot of stuff. I don't have to harp or, anchor down on one aspect of life or one topic. I'm multidimensional. But that's because I do a lot of reading and research. And I put real energy into it. When people sit down and talk to me, I can actually give them a well thought out plan that makes sense and does have academic backing behind it or psychological backing or something. I can do that. A lot of people can't do that. A lot of people can't do it. And if they do what they'll do, they'll say, well, I got answers. It's in my book. Buy my book. Your book ain't nothing but a bunch of crap that you probably picked up from other people and condensed it into your own terms so that you're not technically plagiarizing, and then you resell it. Because if you take 20 best-selling books about a certain topic and you condense all that information into your book should be a best-selling book too, as long as you get it in front of enough people. So I'm not dumb. That's how we operate. You want real answers, real solutions? Okay, have real talk. I got a plan. I got a website. I got a plan. I put it into motion. I have real things that I'm trying to do to help push our society in the right direction and our people. And it goes beyond just talking. That's why I want to have the tough, uncomfortable truth talks. That's why I'm here, to look at the angles and talk about the talks that people aren't talking, to bring out the feelings that people feel but they don't want to discuss, to call out the things that people don't want to call out because behind closed doors they're in cahoots and they want to look cool. I don't want to look cool. I just want to be me. I just want to be me. So think about that.
The truth does not require you to like nor accept it. It can be tough and uncomfortable, existing on its own merit, independent of your feelings and residing outside the frameworks of your mind. For some, the truth is freedom, and to others, confinement.